it's crazy looking at this, the constant attacking of Kim Gardner. It is clearly personal. The police union, as she said, hates her, and they've been trying to take her out from the beginning. They thought they were going to beat her in re-election. She won that, and it's just a constant assault on her and her office.
And it's a constant assault on our system, how it works, and autonomy. I had the great pleasure of meeting Kim 6 years ago when I worked for the current DA here in this county. And unironically, that DA is actually facing a lawsuit for exactly the same thing. Republicans here filed a lawsuit saying he's incompetent and needs to be removed from office. And they're essentially, via the legal system, trying to undo a second time that he was duly elected, just like Kim. This is happening across the country, and this is how we descend into despotism and tyranny. I mean, and I'm not saying that from like a histrionic standpoint. It's the truth. Ron DeSantis is doing the same thing in Florida. They're doing this in Missouri. They're doing it here in Texas. And what they're trying to do is they're trying to combine dog whistle rhetoric with the idea that these black and brown people who have been duly elected are not competent. They're grossly unable to manage their offices or whatever, despite the fact that the people elected them twice and they're exercising discretion. And what I think Kim did really well in this situation is she released a statement that you noted talking about where the judge's responsibility is. What infuriates me about this is that the prosecutor, if he or she is embattled, is always the first person that people go to show that the criminal justice system is failing. But her office asked for a bond revocation, which means a prosecutor stood up and said, "Judge, we want Mr. Riley to be put in jail because he's not abiding by the conditions of the bond." And a judge decided not to put him in jail. So how she becomes the person who's having to answer to the failings of this criminal justice system when her office did exactly what it's supposed to do shows you that it's not about actually checking power. It's about saying who you believe should not have power and trying to divest them of having power despite them having elections. So this is something we're seeing across the country, and this is something that we as people have to push back against, because otherwise our democratic institutions have absolutely no value if they can be run over by a person based on their whim and what they think is politically expedient.
Michael, I keep trying to explain to people what is going on here. Republicans are going to use their power in the state house to control black folks in these states. We've seen it this week with what's going on at Tennessee State University, Prairie View A&M University. We're seeing what's going on in Florida. We're seeing what's happening here. And so folks had better understand what's happening. It's clear. It's loud and clear what's going on here.
Yeah, the battle has always been in the state legislature, especially in southern states. Even though Missouri wasn't part of the Confederacy, it stayed loyal to the Union. You still have some of the same politics here. And I'm glad she was able to get information out about how it was the judge's fault and not the fault of her office. But, you know, Roland, to be honest with you, I can't figure out why Mayor Tashara Jones, who is an African-American female, is following some of the talking points, it seems, of some of the Republicans. That's problematic right there. But hopefully this turns out well for Attorney Kim Gardner. And remember, former Attorney General William Barr was at odds with her as well. She was facing it she was facing pressure not just from the state level from Republicans in St. Louis, but also from the Department of Justice when William Barr was Attorney General, and he was against those progressive prosecutors like her. So this is another example of why elections have consequences, and so it's so important to vote the right people in the office and vote the wrong people out of office.
And the thing here, Kelly, it goes to show you, Republicans don't give a damn about local control. They don't, all that crap about old big brother, they don't care. When they have the power, they will exercise it. We see it in Alabama and Mississippi, where they have passed laws saying local leaders cannot get rid of Confederate monuments unless the state approves it. They only like local control when they are the ones in control.
I think it's a situation in which it's not about whether it's local control, state control, or federal control. It's about control, period. And it shows when you see the bar being moved with each situation in their favor. So it doesn't matter whether, like you said, it does not matter whether it's state or local or federal. It's a matter of who is in control. If we are in control, then it's good. If we are not in control, it's bad. And that's just the bottom line of it all. It is disappointing that Kim Gardner does not have the support, what it seems to be, of her party in St. Louis in this matter. It seems like she's just kind of out in the wind by herself, and it's unfortunate because the work that she's doing in St. Louis really is to make jurisprudence there better for the citizens of St. Louis. I hope it works out for her, but it's not looking so good.
Matt, again, we talk about the fact that she's been elected twice. They thought they were going to get rid of her after the first term. The voters said, no, we want her. And so I find it ironic that these folks have a problem with the fact that the voters clearly want her, prefer her. And it also goes to show you, as she pointed out, all of these public safety officials are appointed. They are not accountable to the voters directly.
Right. And in situations where you have appointments, a lot of times you have retention votes, right, where the people get to decide if they want to keep that judge that was appointed. But in her instance, she's popularly elected, which means at the polls, people in St. Louis voted her in twice. And what's really, I think, intellectually disingenuous about these conversations is they're very often rooted in the idea, like if you look at DeSantis in Florida by analogy, they're rooted in the idea that the prosecutor is doing what they're statutorily allowed to do. So statutorily, she has discretion to make the decisions on her cases that she makes. If the people don't like that, then they vote in the next person. Clearly, the people like her more than whomever she ran against. So to try to make it seem like her exercising authority or any prosecutor exercising authority is somehow an affront to public safety is intellectually dishonest because the rules allow them to do that. And that's what I've seen from the beginning with Kim is that she hasn't done it the way they've wanted her to do it. And from day one, she's been embattled. And that's what's really frustrating about this is that they don't even hide the racism. It's day one, a black woman's elected. She could not be competent by virtue of who she is based in their estimation. So from day one, they are attacking her just incessantly. And that to me is intellectually dishonest and straight up racist, if we're going to be honest about it. Because if she had a string of things that were failures, then that'd be different. You'd be able to say, here's the evidence showing she's not doing a good job. But day one, she steps foot in office, and based on her platform, they're saying she's not competent. That to me is dishonest. And that's what we're seeing around the country. And that's why I think it's going to be a slide into tyranny if we allow that kind of thing to happen. If you're duly elected, you should stay there until the people duly unelect you.
And the real deal here, Michael, I mean, let's just be honest. They hate progressive prosecutors, especially if they're
Right.
black females.
Absolutely. They definitely do. And what you see here is with the progressive prosecutors like Marilyn Mosby in Baltimore and others, you see them at odds with the police union oftentimes. You see them many times prosecuting crooked police officers or exposing crooked police officers. And I remember, if I remember correctly, wasn't it Marilyn Mosby who had a list of police officers who she said were untrustworthy and they couldn't be used when it comes to prosecuting people, things like this? The testimony couldn't be used. Yeah, that's Marilyn Mosby. And then when it comes to being smart on crime, backing off of trying to charge low-level nonviolent drug offenders with the harshest sentences, all types of things like this. You see Republicans at odds with this law and order, and you see the police unions oftentimes at odds with this as well. So we need more prosecutors like Kim Gardner, Marilyn Mosby, and the prosecutor as well in Chicago as well. So once again, all this goes to voting, Roland.
Kim Fox.
All this goes to voting strategically.
But also,
Kim Fox. I'm sorry.
It does. And again, I'm sorry, Matt. Go ahead.
was just going to say, also, Ken Paxton has been under indictment for 7 years in Texas. The Republican AG here has been under indictment for 7 years. They can't figure out how to prosecute him, right? But Kim Gardner doesn't even make the decision.
And got reelected.
Beating the drum.
All right, folks, back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment. When you talk about blackness and what happens in black culture, we're about covering these things that matter to us, speaking to our issues and concerns.
This is a genuine people-powered movement.
There's a lot of stuff that we're not getting. You get it, and you spread the word.
We wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us. We cannot tell our own story if we can't pay for it. This is about covering us. Invest in black-owned media. Your dollars matter. We don't have to keep asking them to cover our stuff. So please support us in what we do, folks. We want to hit 2,000 people, $50 this month, raise $100,000. We're behind 100,000, so we want to hit that. Y'all money makes this possible. Check some money orders. Go to P.O. Box 57196, Washington, D.C. 20037-0196. The Cash App is $RM Unfiltered. PayPal is R Martin Unfiltered. Venmo is RM Unfiltered. Zelle is Roland at RolandSMartin.com.